And welcome back to a special holiday edition of Out and About today. We're here with Greg Howard, whose highly anticipated new release, The Visitors, hits bookstores February 1st. Okay, so Greg, I got to ask you, what's it like launching a book into the world?
It's a little nerve-wracking, because you're putting yourself out there. And yeah, especially a story like this that is so personal. It's a little scary, but, you just you believe in the story, you believe in the book, and you just get behind it and just don't listen to the noise.
Well, and everybody, it seems like, is a critic online. So how do you approach that end of it?
Well, I do expect to get some pushback on this book because it does deal with things that aren't talked about a lot in middle school literature, middle grade literature, from suicide to even slavery, and the things that we were taught in school about slavery that aren't really true. I will get pushback on those things, but the thing is, I write these books, I know adults enjoy them, but I write them for the kids, and I've always said that if kids are living it, I will write about it, so I just don't really listen to those things. I don't read reviews, and just write what kids are living.
Well, and I do want to just kind of flash back to that. We were talking about the author's notes a little bit earlier. Another thing that you mentioned in this when you're talking about slavery, I chose that plantation as the setting for this story out of a desire to engage young white readers with a part of our history that they simply don't have to face if they don't want to. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, when I was a kid going to that plantation that the book is set on, I thought it was this cool, beautiful, lovely place because all we had been taught about in South Carolina history was how good the slave owners were to the enslaved people and how they treated them like family, and we didn't hear any of the horrible, terrible facts that actually went on. And like I say, I hear from kids today that that's kind of still what they're hearing in school to some degree in certain parts of the country. So yeah, white kids don't really have to deal with those realities or be forced to think about them. But if I can present them to those kids, I'm hoping it will open up some meaningful discussion and some critical thinking.
Yeah, and I know you said that when kids get the facts, they know what to do with them, and that's what they need. They need the facts. Right. Yeah. All right. So let's kind of take a little turn. We want to get to your favorites because there have been so many great books out this year. I know you're a voracious reader as well as a writer. So tell me, let's start with your favorites, book picks of the year. Tell me about Alec, because I am really intrigued by this one.
Alec is written by William DeCanzio, and if you were a fan of E.M. Forster's Morris or saw the movie in the 80s with Hugh Grant, Morris, that movie made such an impression on me and on my life and my coming out experience. This is the story of Alex Scudder, who was the gameskeeper in Morris that Morris fell in love with. So it tells Alec's story leading up to that meeting, through the story we know about in Mars, and then their relationship afterwards. It's beautifully written. I think E.M. Forster would just be thrilled, and it's my favorite book of the year so far.
All right, well, that's definitely on my list. So, all right, your next one, The Prophets.
The Prophets was 2021 National Book Award finalist. And, all these books I'm talking about have some queer aspect to them. Robert Jones Jr. has written a beautiful book, very Toni Morrison-esque. It tells the story of these two enslaved men who grew up from a young age on this plantation, and it's their love story. It's how they fell in love and their relationship through all the years, all the hardships and the horrible predicament they were in, and how their lives were torn apart, but how their love for each other was so strong. It is beautiful, beautiful book.
All right, another one that sounds just terrific. Okay, Bathhouse, tell me about that.
Well, Bathhouse was written by P.J. Vernon, and P.J. told me recently that he just really wanted to write a great, fun thriller because he loved to read thrillers, but he didn't really find a lot out there that were adult genre, and were about queer characters. So this tells the story of a couple and a guy in this couple who starts, hooking up on like a Grindr type app, and it goes horribly wrong, and it gets very creepy. There's some stalker situation going on. It gets very creepy. As a lot of thrills, a lot of mystery, and like PJ started out doing, it's just a great fun thriller. Happens to be about a gay guy.
All right, so I'll put that on the list too. Finally, we've got about 30 seconds left. Matrix, tell me about that one.
Matrix by Lauren Groff also has a queer theme in it. the abbess of an abbey in the high Middle Ages. Is about her story and her trying to tear down the patriarchy of the church and her relationships with the women she was in love with. It's a beautiful, epic story. If you especially like Middle Ages, Eleanor of Aquitaine is the main character, if that gives you an idea. Highly, highly recommend it.
Okay, great picks. So love all 4 of those, so I know a lot of folks will get those as well. And one of my favorites, I can already tell you, for 2022 is going to be The Visitors. Absolutely adore this book. It's a phenomenal book, hauntingly beautiful. Once again, want to remind everybody about the book event that's coming up. That's at Parnassus Books, taking place Monday, January 31st, 6:30 p.m. Do not miss it. You can see Greg in person, get him to sign one of your books as well. Greg, as always, it's a pleasure. And once again, reserve your copy of The Visitors online wherever fine books are sold. And up next, Pam and Brent are here for Buzz About as we look at some of the top entertainment highlights of 2021.